in a quiet little village surrounded by fields and forests. There lived a blacksmith named Akbar. He was known for his strength, his skill with iron, and the constant fire that burned in his forge. People from the nearby villages came to him for farming tools, plows, knives, and even weapons. On the outside, he looked like an honest, hard-working man, but within him was a weakness that no one could ignore forever. Akbar was addicted to lying. He believed lies could make his work easier, help him earn more money, and save him from uncomfortable situations. At first, people did not notice much, but over time, his reputation began to suffer, although he never admitted it. When a customer came to him asking for a strong plow, Akbar would sometimes use weaker iron and still charge the full price. When someone requested a sharp blade, he would polish the surface to make it shine but left the core brittle. In his mind, these were clever tricks, little shortcuts to profit. He would smile and reassure the customers, "This is the strongest iron you will ever find." They would leave satisfied, unaware of the truth behind the glowing embers of his forge. One evening, a farmer named Kareem visited Akbar's workshop. Kareem was a hard-working man who had little but depended heavily on his bullock cart to transport his crops. The cart's iron chains and hooks had grown old and weak. Without strong replacements, his harvest could never reach the market. Standing before the heat of the forge, Kareem pleaded, "Akbar, I need strong iron chains for my cart. My entire year's harvest depends on it. Please make them solid, because if they break, I will lose everything." Akbar looked at Kareem, and though he nodded with sympathy, his mind was already calculating. Strong iron would cost him extra time and effort. Weaker material, on the other hand, would be cheaper, and he could still take full payment. "Don't worry," Akbar assured him with his usual confidence. "I will give you the strongest chains. You have my word." Kareem smiled with relief and left, trusting the blacksmith's promise. That night, as the forge roared and sparks danced, Akbar melted down old scraps of iron mixed with brittle pieces. He hammered them into the shape of sturdy-looking chains, polished them until they shone in the firelight, and convinced himself it was good enough. "He will never know," he thought, "and my profit will be safe." When he delivered the chains the next day, Kareem paid him gratefully and returned home without a trace of doubt in his heart. But Akbar's conscience was not at peace. That very night, after the chains had left his workshop, Akbar fell into a restless sleep. In his dream, he stood in front of his forge, but instead of glowing peacefully, the flames had turned into wildfire, spreading uncontrollably. The iron he had shaped twisted and melted, turning into serpents that hissed at him. He heard a voice echoing through the flames, "Your lies will burn everything you touch." Akbar jolted awake, drenched in sweat. His heart pounded as he tried to shake off the fear. For a few moments, he thought of confessing his trick to Kareem, but then he calmed himself with a familiar excuse. It was only a dream. Dreams don't mean anything. Nothing will happen. The following days passed quietly, and Akbar buried the memory of the dream beneath the routine clang of his hammer and the smoke of his forge. He laughed with his customers, sold them his tools, and believed that the lie he had spoken to Kareem was now buried as well. But in truth, that single lie was not finished with him. It was like a seed planted in dark soil, waiting for the right moment to grow. What Akbar did not know was that Kareem had already loaded his bullock cart with sacks of grain, ready to travel to the city market. The weight of his entire harvest hung on the chains that Akbar had made. As Kareem prepared for the long journey, he remembered the blacksmith's words. "You have my word. These are the strongest chains." His heart was at peace because he trusted a promise. Back in his workshop, Akbar hammered a piece of glowing iron, but every strike echoed in his mind like the hiss from his dream. Something deep inside him whispered that the lie he had told was not going to vanish easily. He tried to ignore it. He hummed a tune, threw more coal into the fire, and pretended everything was fine. Yet a strange uneasiness lingered in his chest, and though he could not see it yet, the consequences of his falsehood were already racing toward him, like a storm that cannot be stopped. The morning sun rose gently over the fields as Kareem led his bullock cart onto the dusty road. The cart groaned under the heavy weight of grain sacks tied neatly in rows. His heart was full of hope. This harvest was his lifeline. The money from selling it in the city would feed his family through the year. The oxen moved slowly but steadily, their hooves beating a rhythm against the earth. The new iron chains held the cart in place, gleaming as the sunlight touched them. Kareem glanced at them once or twice and smiled. Akbar kept his word. He whispered to himself, "These chains are strong. God bless him." He had no idea of the truth hidden in their polished surface. The road stretched long and uneven. Dust rose in clouds with each step of the oxen. Hours passed, and Kareem's cart rattled forward. But as the weight of the harvest pressed down, the chains began to strain. Tiny cracks, invisible to the eye, ran through the weak iron. Each jolt of the cart widened them. Each turn of the wheel tested them further. Finally, as the cart descended a small slope, a loud snap echoed in the air. One chain broke, then another. The oxen stumbled forward, the cart lurched violently, and before Kareem could shout, the entire load toppled. Sacks burst open as they hit the ground. Grain spilled like water across the road, scattering in every direction. The oxen panicked, pulling away in confusion. Kareem fell to his knees, clutching the dirt with trembling hands. His year's worth of hard work, his family's hope, was gone in an instant. He picked up fistfuls of grain only to watch them slip uselessly through his fingers. Tears streamed down his face as he cried out, "All of this happened because of a lie. Akbar promised me strength, but he gave me weakness. His words have destroyed me." Travelers on the road stopped to help. Some tried to gather the grain, others calmed the frightened oxen, but everyone could see the truth. The chains were brittle, broken in several places, their shiny surface now revealing the poor quality hidden beneath. Whispers began among the people. "Akbar, the blacksmith, did this. He cheated Kareem. His lies have caused this loss." The whispers grew louder, spreading from mouth to mouth, until by the time Kareem returned to the village with his empty cart, the entire story had reached every ear. That evening, the villagers gathered in front of Akbar's workshop. Torches burned in their hands, not in anger yet, but in demand for answers. Kareem stood among them, his face pale from grief. The broken chains were carried in and thrown at Akbar's feet. The clang of the iron against the ground was louder than any hammer strike he had ever made. The people looked at him with stern eyes, waiting for him to speak. Akbar's heart sank as he stared at the chains. He recognized his own work instantly. He wanted to deny it, to create another lie, but the evidence was clear before him. The villagers would not accept excuses. Kareem's voice broke the silence. "I trusted you, Akbar. I trusted your word, and because of you, my family will starve." Was a handful of coins more important than our lives? His words cut through the blacksmith like a blade. The elder of the village, a man respected by all, stepped forward. His voice was calm but heavy. "Akbar, this is not just about one man's loss. A lie has destroyed our trust in you. Your forge was meant to serve the people, to strengthen our lives. But you have used it for deceit. You must face what you have done." Akbar's lips trembled. He looked around at the faces of his neighbors, people who had once respected him, who had once brought him their tools and weapons with pride. Now their eyes carried only disappointment. Shame washed over him like a tide. His knees gave way, and he fell to the ground. Tears filled his eyes as he pressed his forehead to the earth. "I am guilty," he confessed. "I lied to Kareem. I gave him weak chains when he asked for strength. I thought I would gain profit, but I see now I have lost everything. Forgive me." For a long moment, the crowd was silent. Then the elders spoke again. "Forgiveness does not erase the damage, Akbar. Kareem's harvest cannot be restored. But you can choose whether this lie is the end of your life or the beginning of your change. From this day forward, you will speak only the truth and work only with honesty. If ever again you betray this village, your forge will be closed forever." Akbar nodded, his tears soaking the dust at his feet. He turned to Kareem, clasping his hands. "I cannot return your grain, brother, but I will work for you until my debt is repaid. I will make your tools, repair your cart, and serve you with my hands until your fields yield again." Kareem, though broken by loss, saw the sincerity in his eyes. He said nothing but placed a hand on Akbar's shoulder, a gesture that held both pain and reluctant acceptance. From that day, Akbar's forge became a different place. The fire still burned, the hammer still rang, but the lies were gone. Every piece of iron he shaped carried the weight of his repentance. People slowly returned to him, not because of his skill alone, but because they saw that his heart had changed. Yet Akbar never forgot the lesson that one lie had taught him. Whenever he struck the iron, he heard Kareem's voice in his memory. "I trusted you." And he reminded himself again and again that truth, though harder to forge, was the only chain strong enough to hold a man's honor.